Mr. Prithviraj Singh Rupan, GCSK, President of the Republic of Mauritius, Mr. Satidanand Ojit, Permanent Secretary, Prime Minister's Office, Mr. Chairman Suraj Bali, Chairman Media Trust Board, Mr. Vijay Anand Ramcharan, CEO, Mauritius Post, Mr. Gyandev Mutia, former CEO, Mauritius Post, members of the Media Trust Board, Mr. Yvan Martial, former Editor-in-Chief, Mr. Bijan Baran, writer and historian. Good morning, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is my rare privilege, my pleasant duty, and indeed a great honor to welcome you all to the premises of the Media Trust this Saturday morning, inasmuch as it is a landmark for the Mauritian media today, with the issue of the Thursday cover of commemorative stamps in connection with the 250th anniversary of the press in Mauritius, the publication of the first newspaper, Annonce, affiches et avis divers pour les colonies des Îles-de-France et de Bourbon by Nicolas Lambert. The origin and history of the press in Mauritius and that of stamps and postal activities in Mauritius are, we know, very closely linked. There is indeed much to say about this and the media in general from a historical perspective, but also from the social and democratic viewpoints, as well as from the other angles. The Media Trust is very much pleased to be a partner to this project today. But as there is a time constraint, we are having a short ceremony this morning. Let me therefore hasten to go directly to the official part, and I invite the chairman of the Media Trust, Mr. Suraj Bali, for a welcome note. Mr. Suraj Bali, please.
Thank you, Mr. Biari. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Mauritius, Mr. Prithviraj Singh Rupan, Mr. Satidanand Ojit, Permanent Secretary at the Prime Minister's Office, Mr. Vijayanand Ramcharan, Chief Executive Officer at Mauritius Post, Mr. Gyandev Mutia, former CEO, Mauritius Post, my colleagues of the Media Trust Board, Mr. Bijan Baran, historian and correspondent at Weekend newspaper, Mr. Yvan Martial, Chief Editor, former Chief Editor at L'Express. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure, good morning. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to the Media Trust today for the very symbolical launching of a commemorative stamp on the historical occasion of 250 years of the press in Mauritius. I would like to thank you all for responding positively to our invitation and attending this short ceremony of high historical significance. The Media Trust is pleased to be associated with the launching of a commemorative stamp to mark the ongoing celebration of 250 years of the press in Mauritius. I would like to express my sincere thanks to the management of the postal authorities of Mauritius for the decision to have a stamp to mark the occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, stamps may be small pieces of paper, but they have proved to be important as they provide and continue to provide a rich content for literature and history. They are an integral way for states to define their cultural identity. And of course, what is immortalized on a stamp becomes a fascinating part of philatelic study. Today we immortalize the press, which celebrates 2.5 centuries of continuous history, since the first paper published on 13th January 1773. The press has over the years kept us informed about the society. It has enabled us to have our voices heard in the chambers of power. It has allowed us to monitor and moderate the sources of power that shape our lives. Needless to say that the revolution in communication technology has made the responsibility of the journalist in a free society even more vital and more difficult. On this happy occasion, as we release a stamp commemorating 250 years of the press in Mauritius, I believe it is fit that we understand the press has contributed a glorious chapter in the history of the country, and the issue of by the postal authorities of a commemorative stamp to mark the significant event is an acknowledgement of the contribution of the press in making Mauritius a modern democracy clearly on the path of progress and development. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to say how happy and proud we are today to have had so many professional journalists who have contributed to mold our society and enrich our culture that make the pride and glory of Mauritius. I would also like to express my thanks to the present-day journalists who have kept the standards of the profession so high. Before I end, I would like to say a special thanks to Mr. Yvan Martial, Mr. Baran, and other historians cum journalists who have been cooperating with the Media Trust to prepare short publications on the history of the press in Mauritius. And I would have a special word of thanks to Mr. Baran, historian cum journalist, who has had the privilege and the responsibility of preparing a short brief for the issue of this stamp today. I thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Suraj Bali. Allow me now to call upon the CEO of Mauritius Post, Mr. Vijaya Anand Ramcharan, to make an address on this historic occasion. Mr. Ramcharan, please.
Your Excellency, Prithviraj Singh Rupan, President of the Republic of Mauritius, Mr. Chairman Suraj Bali, Chairperson of Mauritius Trust, Media Trust, Mr. Sachidanand Urjit, Permanent Secretary of PMO, Mrs. Fatima Kaperi, Vice Chairperson of Media Trust, Mr. Ashok Bihari, Board Secretary, Media Trust, Mr. Yvan Martial, the former CEO of Mauritius Post, Mr. Mutia, eminent personalities present, board members of Media Trust, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to you all. Let me first of all thank the Media Trust for inviting the Mauritius Post for this landmark event, which is the celebration of the 20th anniversary of the first newspaper, and at the same time launching of a first takeover. In fact, it is indeed with a sense of pride and privilege that Mauritius Post is associating itself with such a historic event, notwithstanding the fact that the Postal Department itself is among the oldest institutions in Mauritius. In fact, the Mauritius Post has recently celebrated its 250th anniversary, Well, acknowledging that history of the press and the post is somehow linked, this strong connecting link had been somehow harnessed by one man, Mr. Nicolas Lambert. As part of its historicity, the post was first established during the French colonial period by Mr. Pierre-Nicolas Lambert in 1772. He had published, and it is nothing new to you, he had published a weekly newspaper and had guaranteed his subscribers free delivery of inland mail once a week together with newspaper. And that's how the post came to birth. The Annonce Avis appeared on the 13th January 1773 as the very first publication. It was a modest folio of 4 pages, printed on 2 columns, appearing every Monday. That was about the history, but let me come back to the present launch of the first day cover and the stamp. Well, I am indeed very pleased to work with the Media Trust staff under the guidance of the Stamp Advisory Committee to establish a fast track to complete the task to define the important features leading to the issue of a new stamp, the first day cover and the insert. I need to point out the unflinching support of our philately department of Maurice's Post for the material and the design for this issue. With the support of this department, the stamp was so designed to illustrate the first publication of the newspaper that appeared, as I said, on the 30th January 1773. The stamp bears the denomination of 7 rupees and a detailed wordings of the 250th anniversary of the first newspaper Mauritius. As said earlier, stamp which is used for domestic and international purpose, therefore, it is very much acknowledged that stamp is a sort of small ambassador, and it carries you through the time and through the history. The official first day cover is mounted with the above mentioned stamp, duly cancelled and dedicated cachet of the first day issue of today. The cover is also illustrated with well-defined details of the first newspaper of Mauritius issued in Mauritius. Moreover, the first day cover contains an insert which gives a brief description of the introduction of newspapers in Mauritius. Likewise, there is a section dedicated to the technical features for the benefit of philatelists. The Mauritius Post is indeed very glad and humble in contributing in the celebration of the 250th anniversary of the first newspaper. To end, ladies and gentlemen, allow me on behalf of Mauritius Post to wish a happy and prosperous anniversary to Media Trust, to the press as a whole. I would also seize this opportunity to thank them for their contribution, as well as for setting up this special event to officially launch the stamp and first day cover. I am indeed convinced that this will bring a greater awareness to the focused task of the Media Trust in the community. Last but not least, I also thank our teams at the Mauritius Post and the Stamp Advisory Committee for the collaborative work effected with much dedication and passion. Again, I just wish this philately item issued today would gather great interest among our dear citizens and thereby gain in more value and worth in the future. With these words, I'd like to thank you for your attention.
Thank you indeed, Mr. Ramchurn. It's now a great honor for me to invite our chief guest, His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Mauritius, for his address and the official launch and release of the first day cover and commemorative stamp. Your Excellency, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Biari. Mr. Satidanand Ujit, Permanent Secretary, Prime Minister's Office, Mr. Vijay Anand Ramchurn, Chairman and CEO of the Mauritius Post Limited, the President, Vice President, Secretary and Board members of the Media Trust, Mr. Yvan Marshall, Senior Member of the Press, Mr. Mutia, former CEO, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, and it is for me a great pleasure to be part of this symbolical event, the unveiling of the first day cover commemorating the 250th anniversary of the press in Mauritius. I thank the Media Trust and once again inviting me on yet another leg of this celebration. Already in January, I had the immense pleasure to commemorate the anniversary along with the annual award ceremony of the Trust. And today, on this momentous occasion, I'm back here. I wish also to commend the Mauritius Post for this initiative and this collaboration between two institutions. And as already stated, this stamp serves as a lasting tribute. With your permission, let me also make a pause here to congratulate and wish well to the new CEO of the Mauritius Post. I understand he took office some months back, 2 months back, and it is my first official encounter with the CEO. I wish to wish him well and congratulate him. It is a real coincidence that we are having two institutions celebrating more or less concurrently their 250 years of independence, of existence, sorry. Both had a very humble beginnings, laid back in the 18th century. Both have grown into a modern and efficient organization. But what is most important is that they have served the society. Crucial role for the Post. It is connecting individuals, more or less privately, through letters. And at time, I remember when I was still very young, before the mobile or even the telephone age, the telegram informing us of events. At that time, there was no network of telephone all around. The Post had the possibility of connecting villages, and this has been, of course, a service to society. But it was essentially private communication. I don't recall whether the telex that followed also involves the Post, but we know this is for the Post. The history of the press also we know. It had a more community-based function to inform the mass. Once we had the printing press, we had pamphlets. In fact, Nicolas Lambert was started with his affiche, helping the colonial administration at that time to communicate with the public. But it was later on that it took the form of a commercial venture with the advent of advertising and so on. I don't want to dwell into history. But what is important is that yet by another twist of history, both these institutions are being adversely affected by technology, by the digital transformations that we are seeing. And both will have to adapt and try to, let me put it like this, to survive. And it is in itself a tall order. Coming to the press, it has had a very crucial role in history. Culturally, socially, politically, it has had a very important role in various aspects and at different junctures in our history, starting from the time when we were subject to discrimination up till our independence. And what is most important today is what will be the role of the press. The CEO of the Mauritius Post will excuse me because I believe that the way that the Post will have to reinvent itself is quite different from what the press has to face, with everything that has become digital. We know with the social media, what is termed to be news has been plagued with fake news. Now we talk about deep fake. We know there is now two parallel systems of where we have disinformation, misinformation. Now we talk about conspiracy theory. And yet, when I stated in January, still also challenges, ethical issues with artificial intelligence, how we have to grapple with all these new creature which is taking birth. But as I stated in January, it is my earnest wish that we do have an independent, impartial press, and that the press, be it written or how you call it, parlé, écrit, even visual, remains relevant. For me, it is a question that goes to the root of our democratic setup. There is a vital role for the press to play, and it is for the press to ensure that the role and that journalists, professional journalism, this profession doesn't become evanescent or is not subsumed in this virtual world. With these few words, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your kind attention. Wish well the Media Trust. And in fact, it was in January that I promised Mr. Surojbali that I'll be here for this launching. And I believe it is very important that we immortalize this event, and that in one way or another, it is something not only for today, for generations to come. And thank you again for this invitation. Thank you.
Je ne suis pas trop protocolaire, mais je commencerai par ce qu'il y a sur mon papier. Son Excellence, Monsieur Prithviraj Rupan, le Permanent Secretary du Prime Minister's Office, et Monsieur Surojbali, président du Media Trust, son vice-président, Monsieur Ashok Bihari, Monsieur Ramchun, CEO de Mauritius Post Limited, le successeur de mon ami, enfin on se connaît très bien, Monsieur Motia, et mon ami Yvan Martial, toujours présent quand je l'invite personnellement. Merci d'être là. Et tous les membres du Media Trust, mais je voulais aussi saluer un monsieur qui se trouve dans la salle, Monsieur Lenette. Alors hier, tu peux te mettre debout, Alors pourquoi j'ai un petit salut spécial, M. Lenette. M. Lenette est un parent de Guy Rosemont et grand syndicaliste. Et si le Parti travailliste existe encore aujourd'hui, l'origine remonte bien sûr à Guy Rosemont, qui a aidé à fonder le parti, l'a préserver jusqu'à ce que SSA prenne la relève. Alors, content de l'avoir parmi nous. Alors, je n'ai pas grand-chose à vous dire concernant l'histoire de la presse, parce que vous l'avez déjà avec le document qui a été présenté. Et quelques mots seulement pour rappeler que cette presse mauricienne a été, du point de vue linguistique, longtemps dominée par le français. Et il faudrait attendre plus d'un siècle pour que l'anglais pas prenne le relais, mais vienne enrichir la presse mauricienne avec Manuel Doctor qui lance le Hindustani. Et depuis le Hindustani, il y a des dizaines et des dizaines d'autres publications en hindi, en hindi, et donc l'anglais et puis le hindi. Et il y aura aussi une presse musulmane, il y aura aussi une presse tamoule, il y aura aussi une presse chinoise. Nous avons une presse très diversifiée, mais si les Français prédominent jusqu'aujourd'hui, je l'ai déjà dit dans ma dernière intervention, lors de la dernière fonction de Media Trust, il faut remercier pour cela les Anglais. Lorsque les Anglais ont accepté dans les articles pour la capitulation, dans le document de la capitulation, de reconnaître la langue des colons qui étaient là et de reconnaître aussi leur religion, leur usage, leur coutume. Et cela a permis, enfin on peut dire, ce libéralisme anglais a permis à ce que le français continue jusqu'aujourd'hui et domine même jusqu'aujourd'hui. Que vous le voulez ou non, nous avons aussi News on Sunday qui est venu, Mauritius Times qui sont venus, mais cette presse, même dans Mauritius Times, on a introduit le français. Alors cette presse demeure toujours très francophone. Alors, donc je n'ai pas beaucoup à dire, mais je sais qu'il y a un projet et vous allez être aussi le bénéficiaire plus tard. Le Media Trust envisage la publication d'un... Je ne parle pas de magazine, c'est trop réducteur. Je parlerai plutôt d'un livre collectif qui va venir, et dont M. Surajbali, M. Bihari travaillent là-dessus. Je ne donne pas plus de détails, mais ce que je sais, c'est que ce sera un document très volumineux par des personnes qui vont écrire à partir des sources qu'ils ne vont pas inventer, mais qui vont dire d'après ce que les sources disent. Alors, ce petit bout que vous avez là-bas, ce sera, allons dire, 100 fois, 200 fois plus. Merci, M. Bihari.